Good morning. The yellowing pages of Jeannie Nacarato's scrapbooks are filled with pictures, score sheets, programs, and newspaper clippings that document the highs and lows of her bowling career. She remembers her first bowling experience as if it happened just yesterday. I shot a 43, and from that day on, I was always nagging my parents to take me bowling. The youngest of 6 children, Jeannie, then residing in Ohio, said bowling was something her family did together. She remembers her brothers as also enjoying bowling, but said it was nothing like her love and enthusiasm for 10 pins. As a teenager, Jeannie was very athletic and enjoyed tennis, swimming, racquetball, and horseback riding in addition to bowling. I was more interested in bowling, Jeannie said. It was considered a low-class sport at our school, but I was independent. I enjoyed it, and so I stayed with it, even though it wasn't the in thing to do. It was this independent attitude that gave Jeannie the confidence to move from a bantam league to an adult traveling league at age 14. I remember I had to get my parents' permission and everything. I was very excited, Jeannie said. As excited as Jeannie was, it was difficult. She said she wasn't accepted well at first. I was averaging 170 and doing what many of the women couldn't do. But Jeannie continued to do what she did best, bowl, and she quickly earned the respect and admiration of bowlers throughout Cleveland. Jeannie's success soon grew beyond league competition in the city of Cleveland. She added numerous Ohio titles as well as Central State's tournament bowling titles to her growing list of achievements. Although it was becoming clear to Jeannie that bowling had become a priority in her life, a formal education was something she had set her sights on. So she continued to bowl while she worked and earned her degree in court reporting. Jeannie credits 2 of her Ohio bowling friends, Barbara Renner and Marie Shainsky, as being instrumental in moving her toward a professional bowling career. Through Barbara and Marie's encouragement, Jeannie's career as a professional bowler officially began in 1979, the same year she made her first television show. This show was a turning point for me, Jeannie recalls. I led qualifying and finally believed I was good enough to come out and compete on the professional level. Jeannie had a few promising professional seasons that included a victory over Lisa Wagner in the 1984 Pacific Northwest Tournament. At the time, however, she was being remembered more for her defeats than her victories. In the 1983 Greater Milwaukee Open, she missed the 3-pin in the 10th frame to lose the title. And in the Rochester Classic, she missed the final frame 2-pin and lost again. More than 15 years later, Jeannie still remembers these events as the most humbling moments in her professional career. It was clear to Jeannie that if she was to continue to have success on the tour, she needed to make some changes. Tom Curris, Jeannie's coach at the time, had made so many changes in her game and in her equipment that she had become uncomfortable and uneasy bowling. One news report described Jeannie's state of mind as confused by too many of Curris' tips in tense moments. Jeannie said there was nothing wrong with my old coach. He was good for me, but it's like baseball. Sometimes a player who is going stale just needs to be traded so he can get a different outlook. Jeannie gave herself a new outlook by making her longtime ball driller, Phil Sillia, her new coach. Phil changed Jeannie's approach from 4 to 5 steps, helped her swing the ball more freely, and taught her to stand tall. Most importantly, he taught her how to relax on the approach. This helped Jeannie to still make good shots, even if she was nervous or tense. Armed with new equipment and a refreshed game, Jeannie took the 1986 Pro Tour by storm. She won 3 events in a 4-tournament span, finished 4th in tour earnings and 5th in average with a 211. She also recorded an incredible 864 3-game series with games of 300, 300, and 264, a WIBC record which held for 7 years. Additionally, 1986 brought Jeannie another 800 series, an 854, a 1014 4-game series with games of 235, 300, 247, and 232, and a WIBC Championship Tournament team title with Celia's Pro Shop. Jeannie recalls the 864 as her most memorable bowling moment because both her parents, Loretta and Bob, who are now deceased, were there to watch her. I remember it was an old bowling center, so I was sitting on an old bench, and my parents were right next to me. My dad leaned over and said, "Why don't you shoot 300? I was thinking, yeah, right, Dad. They'd never seen me shoot 300, never. 279 all the time, but never 300. Jeannie shot her first 300, and her dad leaned over again and said, "Why don't you shoot another 300? Jeannie obliged and continued her 3rd game with 9 more strikes, 33 in a row. Despite Jeannie's extreme bowling success, including 21 300 games, nearly 20 professional and regional titles, and 3 WIBC titles, she would still like to win a major tournament. I've come in 2nd or 3rd in all the majors, including losing Sam's Town by only 1 pin, Jeannie said. I'm going to keep going back until I win one. It's a very humbling experience. And Jeannie is a very humble and unassuming person. Longtime tour friends Robin Romeo Massanti and Carol Norman describe Jeannie as a good, kind, and fun person, but serious on the lanes to the point where some people mistake her concentration for aloofness. Jeannie, aloof? Never. She still can't believe how many people have sent her letters about her Hall of Fame induction. I just didn't know that many people knew me, she said. I was shocked when Joyce called me. I couldn't wait to tell my husband, Stan. As the former general manager of minor league baseball's Tacoma Tigers and someone involved in professional sports for 51 years, Jeannie knew her husband would understand her need to tell someone about her victory. Stan describes Jeannie as steady, still water. She's not a rah-rah girl, but the day she got word about her Hall of Fame induction, I saw her when I came in the bowling center, and she had tears streaming down her face, Stan said. She was just beside herself. She was so excited. She was jumping up and down like a little kid. She had worked for that moment for her entire life, and the sparks were flying. Jeannie said Stan has always been supportive, especially when she was struggling. Knowing he was behind her has helped her stay composed and stay on tour. Incidentally, Jeannie also thinks her Hall of Fame induction today is a great way to say happy 71st birthday to Stan. When Jeannie was interviewed for the April 1983 issue of Woman Bowler magazine, she said she wanted to be remembered as someone who helped women's bowling and was a great bowler. Bowling enthusiasts would agree she will be remembered for both. At the end of Jeannie's walk down the aisle, she will be met by Hall of Fame member Helen Duvall. Won't you please give a warm WIBC welcome to Jeannie Nacarado, the 81st inductee into the Women's International Bowling Congress Hall of Fame for Superior Performance.
They possess gift or two. One of them is this. They have the power to make a wish come true. When you wish upon a star, makes no difference who you are. Anything your heart desires will come to you. And if your heart is in your dreams, no request is too extreme. When you wish upon a star, as dreamers do, fate.
We also have your lifetime pass to the International Bowling Museum and Hall of Fame, and the beautiful WIBC Diamond Hall of Fame pin.
For those who love,
Would you like to say a few words?
No choice, I don't think so, because some of it's going to be a little repetitive because they took some of my speech away. And I made 3,500 copies so they can pick them up at the door. To the members of the Hall of Fame Committee and everyone here, thank you. This has been an unbelievable morning. And thank you, Indianapolis, for having the WIBC. Being inducted into the WIBC Hall of Fame is the greatest honor a bowling athlete dreams of. It seems that it was just yesterday that Joyce called me to tell me this incredible news of being inducted. Yes, I was speechless and I was excited, and I could not wait to tell my husband, who was on a trip to the airport with Ray Romeo, returning a car, not knowing they got back a half hour earlier, taking a tour of all the motorhomes in the parking lot. So I got to tell him 5 minutes before we started to practice. To Pearl and Lucy, my congratulations to you both, an honor well deserved. And congratulations to Dorothy, Fred, and Amy. And Amy, I can't see you, but when you come out on tour, I don't think I'll be bowling anymore. I have very mixed emotions today because my parents are not here to share this honor with me. They are ultimately responsible for me getting into bowling. If it weren't for my parents, I would not be here today to accept this honor. As the youngest of 6 children, my parents took my brother Tom and I bowling. I loved to bowl from the moment I threw the first ball. The next time we went bowling, my dad taught me the 5-step approach and the etiquette of bowling. I remember growing up in Cleveland, nagging my parents every weekend to take me bowling. Sometimes when they didn't, I would ride my bike up to Center Mayfield Lanes with my bowling ball in my basket just so I could practice. I never bowled in a junior program because growing up in my area at the time, we didn't have a strong junior program. Now we do. So I started bowling in the adult leagues when I was 14. One Saturday, they needed a bowler for Mayland Lanes in the Traveling League. They asked my parents if they would let me bowl, and they said yes. All they had to do was sign a consent form and allow me to bowl. I shot a team high series of 591, and our team won all 3 points. Needless to say, I bowled for Mayland Lanes the next several years. Many people always ask me the question, how did you become a professional bowler? I bowled in as many tournaments as possible and won many tournaments in Cleveland, and I wanted more competition. Someone very close to me at the time suggested I try the Pro Tour. I did. My first tournament was in Detroit. I cashed. I loved it, and I wanted more. My second was in Greenville, South Carolina, and I remember leading the qualifying. And since then, I've never lost the hunger for the game that I truly love. One of my most memorable tournaments was when I shot 864. I was bowling in Cleveland, in Cleveland, in the Central States Tournament at Ambassador Brook Park in Cleveland on Sunday, November 23rd, 1986. And that just seems like yesterday, but it wasn't. I finished my doubles event with the last 7 strikes. Then I changed lanes for my singles event. I was in the middle of my first game when my father leaned over and said to me, "Why don't you shoot a 300 for me?" And I did. I was quite nervous because they never saw me shoot a 300. I'm in the middle of the second game with 6 or 7 in a row. My father leaned over and said to me, "Why don't you shoot another 300? I replied, "Sure, Dad, right." If you knew my dad, you always did what he asked. I shot another 300. Now I'm in the third game and I have the first 9. The 10th frame I left a bucket, my favorite spare. I chop it all the time. I ended up shooting a 264. My dad never leaned over that last game and said to me, "Why don't you shoot another one?" Maybe he should have, and I wouldn't have left the bucket. This was the dream series of my life. I had 40 strikes in a row, back-to-back 300s. This was my most memorable days in my bowling career, and what made it so very special was my parents saw every frame. My most memorable victory was my first title in 1984 at the Narrows Plaza Bowl. I always wanted to be in the position to finishing last to win the game. I don't know why. Maybe because that's what it's all about. The pressure, the excitement, the adrenaline. I was bowling against Lisa Rathgibber at the time, and I needed the first strike in the 10th to win. I remember some great advice my mom gave me. She told me to just strike in the 10th, and you don't have to worry about shooting a spare. As you heard earlier, I missed a couple spares in the 10th frame. She gave me this advice because I finished twice, missing a single pin spare in the 10th frame both games. This was great advice. I used it to win my first title. In 1985, I attended a press luncheon as defending champion at Narrows Plaza Bowl. This is where I met my husband, Stan. At the luncheon, all I can recall is that we sat next to each other and I listened to him talk. If you know my husband, he loves to chat. The next day, we were both on a local radio show promoting the tournament. We chatted after the radio show, and he watched me practice. The Tuesday night after match play, he asked me to go out for a drink, and I accepted. My roommates at the time, Robin Romeo and Pam Buckner, they made a bet with each other that I would be in around 11:30 because I had to bowl the next morning. I came in around 1 a.m. in the morning. This was it for me. I was hooked. I was in love. We had a long-distance relationship for 4 years. I moved to Tacoma in 1989, and we were married in 1992. Excuse me. Now, this is when it really gets tough. The people have been very close to me. They are the ones that hit my heart the deepest. My mom, who passed away in May of 1994, she loved to bowl. We bowled together on the same teams, and we bowled doubles together in the summer. My dad, who passed away in April of 1998 of Alzheimer's, he loved to bowl. He would take lessons from Marie Sherbinsky, and he would take notes during his practice and use his notes during league. When my dad was still able to read the newspaper, he would look in the sports section to see how I was doing. He thought that my total pinfall was how much I made that week. I wish. I would love to have a dollar for every pin I'd knocked down in my career. He would say to me that you made a few dollars this week. Can I borrow some? My dad had a great sense of humor, along with the laugh that everyone loved. I want to thank my family from the bottom of my heart for being here today. You've always been there for me, not just in bowling, but in life. Thank you. I love you guys. Phil Celia from Cleveland, my coach since 1985. He took my game to a higher level in '85, and I became Player of the Year in 1986. To this day, I still work with him whenever possible. My sincere appreciation for all your time and effort. Phil, you are the best. Cheryl Schinninger, my best friend. Cheryl and I have bowled together since I was 16. She was one of my best doubles partner and teammate. She's always been there for me through good and bad times. Cheryl, we need to go practice together. And Kelly Sperano. Boy, after last night, Kelly, we couldn't find Kelly. Kelly had a ride and everything got mixed up and we were quite worried about her, and I was quite relieved to see her here this morning. Kelly came all the way from Vancouver, Washington. We are currently bowling together in the WIBC tournament. Remember Kelly, you're that special you know what. Don Heimbagner of Contour Grips. I've been on his staff for 14 years and I truly believe in his product. I want to thank him and his staff for believing in me and for their support in the bowling industry. Then there are the guys at the Somoff Pro Shop in Tacoma, Washington, my West Coast advisors. Pete Somoff, who I would call if I had a question on drilling a ball. Fred Matson, who always beats me in a game of strikes. Corey Gardner, who always tells me to use my legs when we practice together, the same thing that Phil always tries to get me to do. Gary Larson, who has the job of drilling all my equipment. Gary, thank you for all that you have done for me. Thank you guys, you're great. Now you guys owe me lunch, because I buy them lunch every week I'm at home practically. To Barbara Renner and Marie Sherbitsky, my first roommates on tour and longtime special friends. They have guided me with my career and also my life. They were always watching over me and always offered me great words of encouragement. I've never had so much fun on tour as I did with them. I miss you guys, and I'm glad you're here today. Sam Levine, the founder of the Cleveland Kegler Bowling Publication. He was one of my biggest boosters when I started bowling. Everyone knew Sam in the bowling industry. Robin Masanti. Robin and I are the longest roommates on tour, 17 long, fun years, but we are like sisters. Her mom and dad, Ray and Joe Romeo, treat me like family. Robin and I have shared many fun times together and still do. And Robin and Donna Adamick are bowling this week together in Vegas doubles, and I hope they're bowling very well, Joan. To the members of the Tacoma Women's Bowling Association, they're out there somewhere, I believe they're down there. They've been very nice to me since I moved to Tacoma, and I have received many congratulatory notes on my induction. Last week, they honored me at their banquet. Thank you to each and every one of you. To the members of the Cleveland Women's Bowling Association, I was a member of the CWBA for the better part of my career. You have always made bowling in Cleveland very competitive, from the all-star teams to the king and queen of bowling. Thank you for being an important part of my career. To all the ball companies, a special thank you. It's been fun representing and working with you. To all the many friends and supporters that are here today, thank you. To the bowling writers, and there have been many, from coast to coast and country to country, from magazine covers to front page coverage, my sincerest thank you for everything. To John Falzone, John Summers, and Dave Lonsway, my sincerest thank you for giving me the opportunity to bowl at a professional level. Without you, none of this would have been possible. Once again, thank you for all the thrills and chills. To my husband, Stan. He wanted to speak today because, like I said, he loves to chat and he's a great public speaker. He loves to talk. I could probably stand here and speak forever about him. He is the most compassionate man I have ever met. He is always doing something for someone else, whether it is raising money for a charity or putting the right person in contact with the company. He's very giving, he's very generous, he's a great father to his kids, he's a greater grandfather, and I'm proud to be a part of his family. He is my best friend. He is my sounding board for those bad days of bowling. He is my #1 fan. He is my man, Stan. I love you, and this is my birthday present to you. Thank you very much.